What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back talking about the quarter-finals for the Rugby World Cup. This one's going to be for France versus South Africa. This is actually the last quarterfinals game, but they've announced their teams first. We're still waiting on England and Fiji at the time I'm filming this. So, hey, we'll jump ahead. We'll go on to France versus South Africa. Another awesome game going on this weekend. Another one I'm very, very excited for. We've already done a couple of other preview videos. We've done Wales, Argentina, and Ireland versus New Zealand. You go check those ones out if you haven't yourselves already. In the Ireland New Zealand one, though, I did cover that we did do a poll on the channel saying about which one you guys were most excited for to watch the games over this weekend, and this game, along with Ireland New Zealand, was a dead heat. 43% each. Over 1,500 people took part in that vote. So this one, a highly anticipated game as well. I'm really looking forward to this one. Of course, both teams are coming into the quarterfinals with a bit of momentum. France played Italy last week and got their record win and absolutely smashed that game and move on to the quarterfinals. South Africa didn't play last week, so they've had an extra week's rest, but the week before that they played Tonga, put a great score on Tonga, even with maybe a couple of the first choice players missing out as well on that game. So really big momentum for both teams coming into it, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So we're going to take a look at the teams that have been announced for both sides. I'll run through the players kind of quickly because I think when we get from the quarterfinals onwards, we're going to be expecting most of the teams as they are anyway, unless there's any sort of key injuries and what have you. I want to talk a little bit more about what we can probably expect from this game and the action areas that I'm going to be focusing on in the game as well. If you enjoy this video, make sure to leave it a like, and of course, if you like your rugby content, hit the subscribe button. It really does help the channel out and keeps you up to date with all the latest videos. So starting out with the France team, then the home team, the home nation, the hosts of the World Cup. Not a lot of changes to talk about. It is pretty much the same team that went up and got that big victory over Italy, bar the return of one player, very important player coming into this one. Antoine Dupont has returned, come back in as captain. He's going to have his mask or his hat or whatever on earth we're going to be expecting from this game. I want something from like Silence of the Lambs coming out. I want something real intense. But yeah, pretty much going in with the same team. I'll have a bit of a run through. Silrabai, Malvaka and Antonio. The scrummaging is going to be huge in this game. I'm really looking forward to see this game, just in terms of the physicality going on. We know how much South Africa love the scrums. This French front row is, to me, the best they have available to them, especially with, Julien Marchand out. Now, Malvac has got to step in there and has looked brilliant across this tournament. That's the best front row for France for me. In the lock department, Cameron Wauki and Thibaut Flamand are going to be retaining in the lock department. And then in that back row, Anthony Jalon goes in alongside of Charles Olivon and Gregory Aldrit. So the big boys come to play in the 1 through 8. Now, I did watch an interesting video that was talking a little bit about the line-outs for both these teams over the course of the weekend. And it's quite interesting to see how much of like a chess match I can see this game being. When it comes to the line-out, South Africa tend to really back the middle and the back pod. That tends to be the one they defend the hardest. There's always someone like Evan Etzebeth in the middle, always leaps for the ball, and then they chuck someone on that back pod, which means that the hooker has to either throw over Etzebeth and then beat another player in that back pod, or you have to go for the middle. You take him one-on-one with Etzebeth, who's always going to be in the air, or you get forced to throw to the front pod. And it's been really interesting to learn a little bit about how they're using that to basically force teams to stick to the front, and therefore pushing a driving maul out or something is going to be easy to push it into touch. Meanwhile, on the flip side, the French team is the highest percentage team in lineouts for throwing to the front out of the entire tournament. So South Africa have got like a game plan of how they're going to deal with these lineouts, and it's France's thing they already do. So really looking forward to see this one, because South Africa are going to try and lure them into something in order to stop it, but it's exactly what France want to do. So both teams are sort of going in, both in their element for it. So the line-out situation is going to be really fun to watch, along with the scrummaging. The driving mauls, where's this one going? Both these teams love a driving maul. We know what South Africa do. Dion Forey was getting over for a try in that Tonga game off the back of the driving maul. Malvaka, absolutely up for a driving maul, maybe even a splinter off as well. He's a pacey hooker. I'm really looking forward to see some of those combat zones go on in this game. In the halfback partnership, Antoine Dupont, as we've already mentioned, back alongside of Matthieu Jalibert. We'll see how they get on. Man, I hope Antoine Dupont is fit and healthy. I think the last thing anyone wants as just a rugby fan is to see Antoine Dupont come on, take a massive shot to the head one more time and just rule himself out for a long period of time. Hopefully they do keep him a little bit safe, but it's Antoine Dupont. He's going to be doing stuff stuff all on his own and taking these little sniping runs and stuff. You never count him out. In the centre partnership, Jonathan Darnty goes back in alongside of Gaël Ficou, and what an impact Jonathan Darnty's made back into this French team, man. I didn't quite realise quite how important Jonathan Darnty was. I've always rated him very highly as a player. You can see the difference, though, for me, when you have Jonathan Darnty and compared to like Mofana, who's been filling in that inside centre with him out. It's just a different team. It feels totally different. The backline, the defensive element, getting over for the breakdown situation, which is going to be important in this game. But Jonathan Darnty leading from the front in terms of those jackal penalties. And then in the back three, Louis Bielbiarri goes in alongside of Damien Penaud and Thomas Ramos. And I mean, Bielbiarri, this lad has had an unbelievable climb into this international team, right? He came in the World Cup warm-ups, made his debut. He's like 20 years old. He looked impressive then. I was like, oh, this guy's going to have a bit of a future with the French team. Looking forward to this. Here he is in a quarter-final in the World Cup like 6 weeks later. And yeah, keeping other wingers out and doing well. I mean, we saw him against Italy, scored a try that he should never have been allowed to score because the Italian defenders had to have done better, but he got that ball out on the wing. 2 defenders in front of him, just stepping either side and reaching. Oh, what a brilliant try. Really looking forward to see this young lad again. I'm really hoping the occasion doesn't, get to him too much and maybe, overwhelms him a bit, because I've got, he's young, he's still technically inexperienced, but he's been performing at a high level, and he's been one of the breakthrough players of this tournament for you. I've been really, really enjoying. In terms of the replacement then, Bourgarit goes in alongside of Wardy and Aldegheri. Taufai Fanua and Francois Cros go in alongside of Sekou Makalu. I've just seen that. So actually the 6-2. France are expecting a physical game. They've gone for the 6-2. Of course, Makalu, also / winger. Get him over there, kind of like, Quagga Smith came from 7, so, he's kind of the same, but Sekou Makalu you could chuck out on the wing, so 6-2, 5-3, however you want to think about it. I think of that as a 6-2, and then the replacement direct backs for me. Maxime Loukou going in alongside of Mofana, who did score 2 tries last week, to be fair to him, coming on from that pitch. For everything I said about Jonathan Darnty, Mofana is currently pushing to try and get back in the starting team. Scoring 2 tries is the way to do that. So France are up for a physical game. France... it's going to be interesting to see how France come at this game, right? Because I can expecting a big game from South Africa, the physicality, the breakdown situation. It's about removing the things that South Africa do so well in a game and being able to employ your own, game tactics. We saw against Italy, we've seen against other teams, the kicking game from France is such, an important part of that thing. The cross-field kicks, looking out to the wingers, just creating that space. And with a team like South Africa, who like to rush quick on the defensive line and try and pin you back and not let you get over that gain line. Maybe sometimes their defense can narrow up a little bit. Those crossfield kicks might become, very, very important. Having like Ramos and Jalibert on at the same time to be able to pick out those kicks, I think could be a very, very useful weapon in this game. Speaking of who, then we need to talk about the South African team. Now, South Africa, I've been so used to seeing the South African team announced on like a Monday, like whatever, and we're going to do all this stuff. I have been following very closely this week because I was very interested in what they were going to do with this team. I was following Rassi on Twitter. I was like, let's see what he comes out with, and I saw a lot of like 6-2, 7-1, 8-0 question mark. I was like, oh man, we're going to see something outrageous for this quarterfinals, and I'm all for it. I love being a neutral in these sorts of games where it's a massive occasion. I just get to sit back and enjoy it. However, they've not gone down that route. And I'm going to say this, I'm a little bit surprised by this South Africa team that's got mentioned. They've gone for the 5-3 split on the bench. Andre Pollard looked good against Tonga. On the bench, Manie Libbok starting. We talked a lot about that kicking game and how important it is, and I know people don't like you harking on it too much, like, oh my god, it's the only talking point we can talk about. Kicking in international rugby is one of the most valuable assets, right? France have Ramos. The boy barely misses. He's absolutely awesome. And even if he, ends up starting to miss, Jalibert could take over the kicking. Jaminet normally steps in. Of course, he's not on the team for this week. France are going to be taking those kicks. If they come available, so if the 3 points happen, bang, they're going to take them on. You need to be able to match it, right? It was probably one of the key reasons why South Africa lost to Ireland, missing 11 points towards the post, just not having like an Andre Pollard just for your percentage kicking to be able to make sure you're going to nail them through. Now, Manie Libbok, did actually step up against Tonga. He came on against Tonga, and I thought his kicking looked much better. I don't know if he sat down to make some training sessions with Andre Pollard, which would be, a really big help for him probably, but the kicking looked better. So I'm going to sort of stay away from the kicking talk. It's mega in-depth of what I've already done, because maybe that kicking is going to improve in this game, but it's something that's imperative for this game that South Africa need. I don't think you can depend on just going over for tries again and again and again, especially against this French defence. So we'll have a run through the team, though, and give some thoughts on it afterwards. So in the front row, Stephen Kitshoff, Mbonambi and Frans Malherbe go in alongside of Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostert in the lock department. And like I was saying about that line out, these are the two boys and how they're working. Etzebeth in that middle pod, Mostert out the back pod, forcing France to maybe want to play up to that front and then go for the big driving maul. I think that's going to be a real clinical area. When you look at how both teams use it, we know South Africa love a driving maul, right? But so much of the French attack and the way they score tries does come off the back of a set piece to begin with, and then they launch the backs and how dangerous they are. That back three work together very, very well. Ramos is a very helpful fullback at putting, the wingers in the right position and stuff. So being able to disrupt a line out, to disrupt the maul, to actually stop them going anywhere is going to be, vitally important as well in this game to stop France getting on the front foot. And then in that back three, Sia Khaleesi, Peter Steph du Toit and Dwayne Vermeulen coming back in. I knew a few people were a little bit annoyed to, not be seeing playing in that Ireland game. I think he was strapped up with a bit of an injury himself. But I think they missed maybe a bit of his ball carrying to take it to the line. Now, South Africa are really interesting because not only are they the top team in terms of percentage for getting over the gain line, they're the top team in the tournament as well for dominant tackles. So they both are the best currently in the tournament at getting over the gain line, but also at stopping other teams getting over the gain line. And this forward pack is going to be one of the most important areas for that to stay in this game. France love quick ball. Recycling. I don't know if there's a professional term for it. I call it like a conveyor belt. They do this thing where they sort of run in little pods of three. One guy's taken up, takes the tackle, drops down. The other two forwards create the clear out. The next forward runs in, picks up the ball and just runs immediately, supported by two forwards, and they conveyor belt these attacks. And we've seen it against so many teams how it's so hard to stop if that recycling is quick, because they just keep gaining meters on meters on meters on meters. And maybe you stop the fourth or fifth one, fine, but you've lost 20 meters in the process. So being able to slow down that ruck speed, being able to compete at the rucks, or not competing at the rucks and holding a defensive line. Enter one man in the tackle, take them down, hold a defensive line so the next person that comes in, you then rush and actually keep them back off that gain line and not going forwards. Slowing down that ruck speed is going to be very, very important, especially with not wanting to bunch your defence together, because France will be looking for those cross-field kicks. You want to be able to hold the solid line and just stop France where they are and stop that quick recycling of the ball. There's a massive, massive amount to talk about in this game. So this video might be a little bit longer, sorry guys. In terms of the backs then, half-back partnership, Kobus Reinach goes in alongside of Marnie Libok. Now, I said I would have started Kobus Reinach against Ireland, and a lot of people got very annoyed at me. They were like, it's Faf de Klerk, you can't take it away. Kobus Reinach is putting South Africa on the front foot. In terms of the attack, this team and the way it's organised to me is saying South Africa want to be the attacking team. They're not going to go, we'll just sit down and do the physical game. We're not just going to try and, trundle along with it. They want to be the attacking team. And I think it's probably the right sort of method to go about taking on this France team. We know how good the French defence is anyway. But being the attacking team just allows you to put yourselves on that front foot and not get pinned back in your own half. I think Kobus Reinach is the right call on this, because now they've got to keep an eye out for him constantly. Whereas I don't really think Faf de Klerk looks for those sniping runs. He's a much more sort of control player. He'll look for the box kicks. He's looking for who's going to take the run. Kobus Reinach will go. So suddenly those guards on the ruck are going to have to be very, very focused on him. I think that's a good move. Centre partnership, Damien Dialende and Jesse Creel is sort of what I expected. That's going to be a big clash in that centre partnership. Dialende and Creel going up against Ficou and Jonathan Darnty. I think Damien Dialende and Jesse Creel are going to be the attacking pair, and you've got Jonathan Darnty and Ficou as the defensive pair. And I think they're going to meet head on head, and, the unstoppable force, immovable object quote comes in, doesn't it? And then in the back three, Cheslin Colby, Kurtley Arendse and Damien Willemse taking the fullback, which did surprise me. I thought maybe Willy Leroux would get a look in here. Willy Leroux's been a bit 50-50 for me over this tournament. I think he's had some great games, and I think he does other stuff that's just really stupid. So Damien Willemse in that fullback position, maybe. Willy Leroux's made some silly mistakes in that fullback shirt, but the counter-attack and going on the press, I think maybe I leaned more towards Willie Leroux. I think that's quite a tough call. I'm still not entirely set on that one. And then in terms of the replacements, Dion Forey comes in, Oxenshea and Vincent Koch as the replacement front row. RG Sneeman goes in alongside Okwara Smith, and Faf de Klerk, Andre Pollard and Willie Leroux are your replacement back. So the 5-3, I'm not convinced by this. Now, the 5-3 split for this game is a really interesting choice. I was expecting 6-2. I had a thought maybe they would lean back to the 7-1, and just for the hell of it, I thought 8-0 would be fun. But they weren't ever going to do that, right? So I thought maybe 6-2 would be the way they go. Quagga Smith, coming over from the 7s, a lot of you guys that are South African subscribers have been letting me know, he perfectly happy to chuck him on as a back, to be fair, based on his speed. You could even look at this as a 4-4, if you think of it like that. I'm not sure a 5-3 is the right way to go. Maybe it's the more sort of, professional way. It's the most sort of general way to do your team. It gives you the most options. If I understand the decision behind it, I'm not sure if the way South Africa want to play this game is by doing this. I think South Africa should back their forwards and should back the power game. If it was me picking this team, I would have gone 6-2. I'd have had another forward on here. I would have Andre Pollard starting, and just to allow you to have those early kicks, just definitely, and keep you in the game. I think one of the things you don't want to do against France is go down, right? You don't want to be 10, 15 points down at halftime. That's such a hard thing to come back from because you miss kicks. Let's put it like that. Let's say, I don't know, how many kicks could you miss in a half, realistically? 3? You could probably miss 3.5. That's 9 points. Going down, to France 9 points when you got Ramos going to kick all of them, could be very, very pivotal. I think I would have liked to have seen Andre Pollard start to definitely keep South Africa in the game, and then back to the forwards to give you the longevity and actually maybe power over in that second half. The 5-3 is an interesting call for me here, because now you're putting quite a lot of pressure on Libbok to be landing those kicks to keep South Africa in the game. And if they start going down on the scoreboard, you're looking to add sort of Andre Pollard and Willie Leroux later on, but you've already got your attacking team here. So if you're down at halftime, I don't think you're putting better attackers on. I think Faf de Klerk's going to be slower than Kobus Reinach. Andre Pollard's probably going to get more kicks, but I see Manie Libbok as a better sort of playmaking 10 in terms of the attack. Willie Leroux, yeah, right, maybe you give that one. I don't know. I'm not settled on this. I think I would have lent more towards making sure Andre Pollard is keeping you in that game, or maybe even giving you the advantage, and then back the forwards later on. But hey, that's me. You guys can of course drop down in the comment section your own thoughts on the teams as well. In terms of this game then, and where we see it going, it feels like both teams have sort of counters for what the other team has, and I really like that. That's my sort of game. As a neutral, I love these games. I don't have to get stressed out. If you're a South African supporter, I'm sure you're back in South Africa all the way. If you're a French subscriber, I'm sure you're back in France all the way. Although you might be chewing your nails through this game, because I think this could be a massive one. What do we think in terms of a score prediction for this one? The Ireland-New Zealand one was impossible to call as well. I think this one, again, it could go either way. Given the team announcements and what I've seen, I'm leaning more towards France for this one. When I actually was thinking the other day, I was like, how are they going to go about this game? I thought South Africa would go for the 6-2. I was predominantly thinking that South Africa could actually take this one. The team announcements kind of surprised me for South Africa. I'm a little bit concerned about the kicking duties. I keep saying I'm not going to hark on about it. I keep harking on about it, don't I? But I think Ramos is going to get all those kicks. Libbok's got a lot of pressure on him. Kobus Reinach is a better choice for me at the scrum half. The 5-3, though, I'm not sure if that's going to give South Africa the advantage later on. I think France will be up for the physical battle. France have gone for the 6-2. It might mean that France have better physicality later on to the game as well, along with, arguably a better kicker. So I think the advantage leans more towards France for this one. Home team as well, they're going to have the crowd behind them. I'm going to lean towards France for this one. I'm going to say France by 6. That's going to be my prediction, guys. Of course, drop down your own predictions in the comment sections along with your thoughts on the teams. Who do you think is going to win? Give me some different opinions, because I always enjoy having a read through them. If you've enjoyed this one today, like I said, remember to leave a like. We've still got England versus Fiji whenever they announce their team, so make sure you are subscribed to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I'm really looking forward to some awesome quarterfinals. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.